Hello, everybody. I'm John Denny with the Telos Corporation, and this is Xacta Tidbits. We're going to continue our controls implementation with part 2 of our series, and that is all about my controls. How many times have you been working through your controls implementation and realized that someone else is working on the same control that you are, or someone else is trying to answer and implement the same control that you've been working on? This creates redundancy, and it also keeps people stepping on each other's toes and running into each other all the time. So in order to get rid of this problem, or to create a faster and more efficient way of doing controls implementation, we're going to initiate something inside of our product of Xacta 360 called My Controls. So let's get ready and learn how we can use My Controls for faster and more efficient controls implementation.
Okay, so we are in Xacta 360 and we are going to go directly into our Xacta Tidbits project. And we're going to go to our security controls implementation. And from here, we're going to go directly to controls implementation. So we left off where we had done some of the basics of controls implementation. And as you can recall from that lesson, the first thing that we want to do is sort by. We want to change this to control ID. And we can see that we have a few things that we implemented the last time we were going through our basics video. And we put in the information about the private implementation here. The next thing that we're going to want to do is assign things to personnel for My Controls. Now, My Controls is a new feature within Xacta 360 in version 2.0 and later that allows us to piece out or take the controls and apply those specific controls to certain personnel. This way, we're breaking up our controls implementation. We're going to break up who is doing what work. This is going to solve the problem of everybody trying to work on the same controls at the same time. So, the first thing that we're going to do is I'm going to show you that there are currently no controls that are assigned to me as an owner. So in Control Owner here, I'm going to use my drop-down menu to choose My Controls. And here in My Controls, I have no controls that have been assigned to me as an owner. So we're going to put this drop-down back to All so that we can see all of our controls. And we're going to go through two different methods of assigning people to controls. The first would be to assign an individual control to someone. So we're going to choose a control, and we are going to use this restrictions on use of shared accounts, which is this AC29 control here, and we are going to assign this control to me as the user. So now that I have this selected, the card is selected, I'm going to scroll down, and right here in the control owners, I'm going to add myself in as a control owner. So I'm going to click the plus button, and here I am as John Denny, and I can assign myself, John Denny, as the control owner. So I have been assigned to this control as the control owner. Now, if I did need to remove myself from this control for whatever reason, I could click this remove button or delete button right here, and it would remove me from that control. Now when we look at our controls by control owner, if I look at my controls, I can see that I have been assigned to this AC29 control. So what we've essentially done here is we've given me a control that I need to work on for implementation. And I can filter my view by looking at my controls to see only the controls that I've been assigned to. This way I know exactly which controls are mine that I should be working on. I'm not going to work on anybody else's controls. I'm not going to try to implement something that someone else is doing. I'm working on my controls. Now the second method to do this is to assign groups of controls to an individual at the same time. So what we're going to do here is we are going to filter our view by using the search field, and we are going to look at the AT series of controls. And here we have 15 AT controls. 15 AT controls. Now what we're going to do with these 15 AT controls is we're going to select all of them at the same time. So I'm selecting this AT family of controls. I've selected all of them. They all have check marks now next to them. And I'm going to go up here to the top. I'm going to choose my More. And I am going to assign control owners. So this is a way that you can bulk assign control owners. So we're going to click Assign Control Owners, and we are going to assign these controls to a different individual. So we're going to go ahead and update the control owners. So we're going to select all of them first, then update the control owners. And once we have all 15 of these items selected, we're going to assign these to Brad Smith. So Brad Smith is the person that we're going to assign this to, and we'll go ahead and click Assign. So those items have been assigned to Brad Smith. Now again, if I go back in here and we remove any of the filters that we have in place, so we're back to our 796 controls. If I go back and go to My Controls, I still only have the one singular control. I'm not Brad Smith, therefore I am not going to see the controls that are assigned to Brad Smith. Only the controls that have been assigned to me as John Denny. Now, other ways that we could assign the control is by an actual role itself. So what we're going to do is we are going to take our IR series of controls, and there are 52 IR series of controls. We're going to select all 52 of those items. So all 52 of them have been selected. And we are going to assign these controls to a role or an RMF role. So we're going to do the same thing as before. Use the More dropdown, assign control owners, select all 52, click Update Control Owners, and this time we are going to assign these to the ISOs. So every ISO is supposed to work through these IR controls. And we'll go ahead and click the Assign button, and this has now been assigned to all the ISOs. If we look down here, we can see that this has been assigned to the ISOs, and we can go and review back what we did for the AT series of controls as well, and we can see that the AT series of controls has been assigned to Brad Smith. Now, I'm logged in as the ISM right now, and if I look through my controls, I'm still only showing this AC2 control. So I'm still only showing this AC2 control that's on here. So what I need to do is change my role to be the ISO. So we're going to go back out to our main project page here. And I'm going to change my role from being an ISM to an ISO. And it's just a button click. So I'm going to click the button. I'm now an ISO. And we're going to use our history dropdown to go back to our controls implementation. Now that we're back in controls implementation, what we're going to do is once again, we're going to sort by the control ID. And we're going to look at the control owner, and we're going to look at My Controls. And now we can see that I have been assigned the AC2 control because that is not role specific. That was assigned directly to me, John Denny. However, these IR controls are now showing up in here because these have been assigned to me as the ISO. So because I'm logged in as the ISO, I can see my AC2 control that was assigned directly to me, and I can see my IR controls as well that were assigned to all the ISOs. Once again, this is a way that we can go through and assign these controls to the specific owners of the controls so that we don't get people stepping on each other's toes. We don't have people trying to implement the same controls over and over and over again. This creates redundancy and is just going to be a nightmare when everybody is trying to work on the same stuff. So use your abilities to go through here and assign people to the My Controls. Train your personnel that once you have assigned people to their controls to go in, do the sort function, go to their control owner and sort by My Controls so that they know only the controls that they have to work on for controls implementation. So that's how we go through and do our controls implementation per user and also per RMF role. I hope you guys learned a lot about assigning people to controls and how this is going to make doing your controls implementation faster and more efficient. In the next video series lesson that's coming up, we're going to be talking about how to export our controls and work with the spreadsheets, and then how to import our controls back in. So we'll see you guys in part 3.
For more great content, make sure that you like and subscribe to our channel to get the latest Xacta tidbits.